I've heard zero discussion about that kind of thing. Neel's a friend of mine, and I'm glad he's in a position of public service. I know since he's been there, there have been a couple of proposals that have come out that have been somewhat shocking. I mean, just because of who he is and what his background was. But I do think that we're going to be in a new regulatory period. There's no question that finally addressing some of the excesses of Dodd-Frank will be done and will pass and will become law. As it relates to dealing with the issue that just came out again, I'm standing here in front of the camera. I haven't seen or talked to Neel about his proposal,
Sure.
but look, one of the things that has been discussed is you could do away with a lot of the uber regulation if, in fact, capital standards were at a level where it really wouldn't matter. So maybe that's what he's proposing. But again, up here on Capitol Hill, I've heard zero discussion about that this morning.
What do you think? Dodd-Frank, total repeal or just amended?
I don't think of it. It will not be totally repealed. There are some, look, there are, in any piece of legislation this large and complicated, there are some aspects of it that are beneficial. But I do think you're going to see movements. The community banking system in our country certainly is way overregulated, and you'll see people beginning at that level and building up, and you'll see legislation, I strongly believe, pass doing away with the excesses, I think, in the first 6 months we're here.
Senator, I wanted to ask you about Fannie and Freddie. I had spent some time with Bill Ackman, the activist investor, last week, and one of his great hopes, along with a number of other investors on Wall Street, of course, is that somehow Fannie and Freddie get resolved into their favor. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, you know, Mike Crapo's coming in as chairman of the committee on the Senate side, and I know he wishes to deal with this. I know Hensling does on the House side. I met with Bill Ackman and talked about some of the ideas with him that he has. I think you're going to see that being the second priority here, and that is first dealing with the Dodd-Frank excesses, secondly dealing with Fannie and Freddie. And look, from my standpoint, we have to do away with the model of public sector losses and private gains. And I think to have two entities that in essence continually are guaranteed by the federal government, and yet we have stockholder ownership, is a model that doesn't work. I will say, while I don't agree with everything that Bill Ackman has talked about, I do think that he understands that, and I think maybe there's a way to get to a place that is not the system that we have today. But I mean, it is the model that we have had is totally, utterly ridiculous. I mean, it is ridiculous. And to have Fannie and Freddie with a 0.5% capital and $5 trillion in assets combined is a ridiculous model. So we'll see where that goes. Again, I'm hopeful that that will be dealt with. I will say Fannie and Freddie is the most complicated issue I've dealt with since I've been in the Senate. Far more complicated than alleviating the excesses of Dodd-Frank, and it's going to take some gray matter to get it in the right place.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.